Okay, so welcome back to the class. Today is day 7th of the training, and I believe that we are building our knowledge little by little. There are certain things that we couldn't do before we started this training. I believe that now there should be improvement, even if you cannot see the big improvement yet, but at least there should be at least one, two, three, four, five, or six things that you can do differently from the way you've been doing them before. So here we are looking at the function information, and I'm sure if you're part of this training, you should have seen this material. I shared it with everybody. The function information. Under the function information is it gives us like an overview of everything that we need to cover in the training, and also there are other things as well that once we exhaust this template, then there are other things we can still learn. So we've looked at the logical function, ifs, and or. And we also know that truly they are logical. Excel is going to do some thinking and determine whether your answer is true or your answer is false. So whoever doesn't know the if, the and the or, I will advise you to go and check the video lecture 6, which talks about detailed into ifs. Then look at the last lecture that we did, which was yesterday, which talks about the sorry. So just look at that video that talks about that, the video lecture 5, I need to say. Video lecture 5 talks about this logical function. Then yesterday we looked at the statistical functions, where we talk about the average, the count, the counter, count if, count ifs. We didn't look at Canva, we didn't look at max, we didn't look at minimum, right? So we didn't look at all those things, but they're also easy to understand. So before I started recording, I was trying to differentiate between count and counter. And I want to briefly also talk about count if and count ifs. Now, just like the name implies, count is used for numbers. When you're trying to count the numbers in a worksheet or in cells, you can use count. Or if you are trying to count text, like you have names of people, John, Dele, Bola, you want to count the numbers of names that you have in the worksheet, counter will do justice to that. And how do you use it? Just say equals to, then type counter, open your bracket, select the cell range where there's information. Then after you are done selecting the cell range, then you close the bracket and you're good to go. Then the next one we also looked at is a count if. And we say count if is used specifically, okay, when we want to count certain things, okay? You can just use it the way we normally use, just say equal to count ifs, then you select the range of where the data is. You open your bracket, select the range of where the data is, put a comma, then you now say what you want to go and count. Are you trying to count the designation of staff? Are you trying to get the numbers of accountants that you have in the company? For instance, if you're looking at a big organization like Dangote Refinery, and I used an example yesterday that if you want to make provisions for end of year party or for 13th month salary or something like that, or you want to make provisions for gifts that you want to give people, you are trying to find out how many, you are trying to make a budget, right? You're asking, how many supervisors do we really have in the whole of Dangote Refinery? So what do you need to do? Just say equal to, right? Just say equal to, then you now put your count if, right? You open your bracket, you select the cell range, let's say like B1 to, let's say the cell range is B1 to, let's say B 1 million. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So the cell range is B1 to B1 million. Then you put a comma after you've done that. Then what do you want to get? Let's say I want to get the numbers of average that we have in the formula. So just say average. So remember, if you are putting a text in a formula, make sure there is starting with double quotes, right? So now say average, then you close it with the double quote before you now close the bracket. Then you press your enter, and automatically it's going to tell us the numbers of average that we have in B1 to B1 million. So no matter the numbers of different arrangements that you have over B1 to B1 million, it's going to go and count the numbers of average that you have there. Now, most times, because you're using a text, make sure there are no mistakes in your text. If one is average, which is spelled correctly, and then there are other average in the column that are misspelled, it won't count those ones that were misspelled. So that's why you must make sure that whenever you are using all these things, ensure that you go and sort. When you sort your worksheet, then you check let me just show up quickly. So let's assume I want to sort this worksheet. I quickly do something like this. Oh, sorry. There's a shortcut. Just press your Alt. When you press let's say I want to select all this area where I want to sort. Okay, I want to sort all this place, right? So I just press my Alt key on the keyboard. It activates the tabs. Once it has activated the tabs, I think to sort, I think it's under data. I'll press A. You can see the mnemonics. I mean, what they call them, mnemonics. To make them disappear, you can press escape. But once you press your Alt key, it activates the tabs, right? So then you now say, okay, I want to go to data. And it's telling me that data is represented by A. I press A. Okay, once I press A, then what I want to do, I want to filter. So filter is represented by T. Then I press T. Automatically, you can see it has put this filter over here. So what do I need to do? I want to check. I want to cross-check. Do I have, it will show me the unique information that I have in that place. Okay, now also, you must also note that most of these things, when you're trying to sort or whatever you are trying to do, there shouldn't be any gap. You can see all this gap now. Because there's gap here, it refuses to capture things beneath the gap. So if you want to sort things, make sure that there is nothing in between. Make sure that there's no empty space, right? You delete all the empty space in between before you can now do that, and you're going to get what you want to achieve. Okay, so I just said I should let you know that, so that you can also add it to the information that you are gathering. So we've looked at that, and also we also told us about so we are looking at the statistical function that we looked at yesterday, and I tried to explain to us what count is, what counter is, then count if. You just use it to check a unique text. You use to check a unique text to know whether that unique text is in how many of that unique text is in a worksheet. Then the next thing you want to also look at is this count if. For this count if, you need to know how many places do you have yes, how many places in the worksheet do you have yes, how many places in the worksheet do you have no. So use that also to check for that. That is count ifs. Count ifs, you can use it, is like wider. Then when you look at this Canva, they say returns covariance, the average of the product of deviation for each data point pair. Use covariance to determine the relationship between two data sets. For example, you can examine whether greater income accompanies greater level of education. So you can use that to do that. So we're going to look at how to use it. Then maximum is finds the largest value in a set of values. So when you use maximum, use that to find the largest. And you know, it's most of these things are just very easy. Just for instance, say equal to and say maximum. When you say maximum, right? You can even see it showing here. You can just double click. So once you double click, it opens. Then you want to find out which is a maximum number. For instance, we are paying people salary. We are paying over 1 billion people's salary. We want to ask, who is the highest paid salary? Who is the highest paid staff of Dangote Refinery? Who is the highest paid staff in so and so? Just say equal to max. Open your bracket, then select the range of where you have those people's salary. and press enter, it is going to tell you who is earning the highest. Then you can also use minima. It will tell you the people that are earning the lowest, and so on and so forth. So we shall continue now from there. I just needed to just give that intro for those people that did not join the class yesterday. So because we have done all these, we shall now go further to that. There's a place where I was yesterday. Let me see. Okay, we've done all these. Yes, I was there under the other tips, right? Under the other tips, we're also trying to look at how we can use how you can change case. Most times, you know that there are certain words that must start with capital letter. Example is when you're looking at the date, right, of the week. You're looking at the month in the year. You're looking at names of people. Names of people naturally should start with capital letter. So I also was showing us how to make pre-made lists yesterday. I told us that if you have a worksheet and there are names that you use often and you don't want to start, every time you need to go and maybe you have a sheet, a salary sheet that you have used to populate those people's salary, but all the time you need to continue to use those names, and those names are like 1 billion names or whatever. You can quickly go and make a pre-made list on Excel. Once you make a pre-made list, all you need to do is just type one of the names. For instance, let's assume I have list of names that are working. One of them is John. I just type John. Once I type John, okay, but remember I want to use this equal to proper. So I need to type everything lowercase. I just type John, John. Once I've typed John, then I can now come here and drag it down to wherever I want the names to appear. So I drag it down. You discover that here, because all these things, they are pre-made lists that I've set in Excel, which you can also do for yourself. You can do it for anything. It depends on what you are trying to achieve. Right? So if you have all these names, to make a pre-made list, I also showed us yesterday, I said go to your file. Once you get to file, look for options. Once you get to options, then after this, you see this drop down, look for advanced. You click on advanced. After you click on advanced, then you scroll to the bottom, to the last end of the screen. When you scroll to the last end of the screen, you see edit custom list. You click on it, then you quickly create your own pre-made list. Yesterday, I was about typing the states, the state capital. So I can say like a Lagos state, Lagos, or your Ibadan. I can have Edo. I can have Kogi. Okay, and so on and so forth. So you can have different states. Probably you need to like get the numbers of people that did so and so in this state, number of people. So you don't want to start, maybe you have workers in all the 36 states of the federation, and you need every time to populate things that each of those workers in those states have done. You don't need to start every time, start saying, okay, what are the states of the capital? Okay, after Lagos, what is the next one? So you just make a pre-made list that you don't need to stress your head at all. You just continue to create it. Once you're done, click on add. So let me make it like, let's make it longer. After Kogi, we have, where again? Ogun. Let me use Ogun. That is Ogun State. Then we can have Oyo Ibadan. Okay, Oyo. I've not used Oyo before. I've used Oyo before. Okay, where else? Yes. Igbo State. Let's say Anambra. Come again.
Oshun.
Anambra, then Oshun. Like that. So this is enough. Thank you very much. So once we are done with all the states, and it's 36 states, and we don't want to start typing it every time we need to make, we want to make anything. We don't want to start typing every time. So you can just come here, add it to this list, then press on add. Once you press on add once, then you see that it has displayed here. The next thing is that click on OK. When you click on OK, then you click on OK the second time, and automatically that list is already done. So if you come here now, it said Oshun. So let's just type Oshun and Control Enter. So you now come over here and then you click and drag. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I'm not moving it. So you click it. This is a plus I'm looking for. You click it and drag to wherever you want it to drag to. You can see that automatically it starts to generate other state exactly the way you listed it in that your. And you can start from anyone. You can start from Edo. Let's assume it's Edo that I remember. I can just put Edo here. Sorry, I can just put Edo here. So once I have Edo here, I can just come to this place and drag it to anywhere I want it, and it start to what? To replicate, to start putting all the other information that we have. So now we have names of people that must begin with capital letter, names of states that must begin with capital letter. So what we need to do is that when I say you come here, when I say equal to make something capital letter, just say proper, open your bracket, then you select what you want to be capital letter, right? You close your bracket. Then you see that here, John was small letter and it's not normal. So just click on enter. Once you click on enter, automatically John has changed to the normal way it should be. You can just see that, you just double click your arrow and everything has corrected. So now your names are properly written and you don't have any issue with that. So apart from all these ones that we've done, we are also going to look at other things that we can also do, which I will be showing us in the other sheets that we have in that place. Right. So I hope we are following. I hope we can see my screen and all that. So apart from what we've done now, we are going to look at other things that are important. We're going to look at how to freeze a row and column. We're also going to look at other functions that are important, like when you have the, let me go and check that, our function information. There are some other functions that will come in handy to us in this, our course. So we've done a statistical function. We're going to look at the lookup function. I think that is the next thing that we are going to do. Then we are going to look at this text function. When you have this, so when you're looking at exact, you are trying to compare two text string and return true if they are exactly the same. False, otherwise. If they are not exactly the same, then you will return false otherwise. So exact is case sensitive, but ignores formatting differences. Use exact to test being entered into a document. So when you're using exact, you're trying to understand whether the texts are the same, right? And it is case sensitive. Oh, okay. Let's leave that. Yeah, so let's go on. So let me just sensitive. Yeah, so I got it finally. Yeah, so let's go look at what we're going to look at next. After that thing that we've looked at, we use all this other material, all these other template that I'm skipping. Then after this one, we're coming to freeze pane, repeat row headers and everything. So let's come from here. A sample report now. This is what we were looking at the last time before we started complaining that we couldn't see what was going on. So whenever you have any kind of template like this, you are not the one that populated the template, right? But you want to quickly ask yourself, where do I have information? Where do I have information in this workbook? Okay, so what you do is that just press your Control tilde. The first thing I want to do is I want to know, are there any formulas in these worksheets to know whether it is a formula, a sheet that has a formula, or is just a normal sheet that you will need for another report, right? So when I click on Control tilde, when I click on Control tilde, at a glance, you can see whether there is a formula in this sheet. So let's go to the right, and obviously there is no formula in this worksheet, except probably for the total that we have a formula. Okay, so this is very important for us to know whether you are going to use this as a data, or this is the actual working that you're doing, or this is the actual report that you're working on. Okay, so from what we have done now, we see that this is just a data set that we need for another stuff. So if you have this kind of data set, right, you see that at the heading, you have data set, dates created, you have escalated, you have party, you have status, you have title, you have this. Let's assume you have this kind of data, and then the data is like 1 billion, and you need to continue to type and type and type. You get to a point that you can't know the difference of what you are typing. Am I under the date? Am I under the what is this place? What is, so instead of you to save yourself all those stress, you need to learn how to freeze some pains. Okay, you need to learn how to freeze some pains. So it will make sense if at everywhere we are in the workbook, we can see this heading. Now this heading, we have type here, we have this, we have the, and even if we get to the last cell in the worksheet, you can still see clearly where you need to input what data. Like, look at here now. We are here now. We cannot see anything. We don't know where to put data. We don't know whether this is date. We don't know whether this is this or this is that. So that is why we are learning each of these things. They are going to become very handy for us when we are working on some information. So you've understood, or you understand why we need to freeze this place so that at every point in time, we can see the heading that we are using in the worksheet. So I told us, number one, whenever you see this kind of worksheet, even if they call it a sample report, for something to be a report, it means that probably you are populating things on it, right? You are trying to arrive at a certain information. But here we can see, obviously, when you press your control tilde, you can tell whether this is just a data set or this is the actual report. And here we can see that it does not contain any formula. Therefore, we can say it's just a data set. However, if there is any place that they've generated all this information before, we don't know. Why? Because this thing does not have any formula. It doesn't have any links. So we just assume that this is just a data set that we need for another report. And then we also try to assume that the reason why we are having it is because we want to also learn how to freeze the pane so that at any point we can see what the heading of each of the columns are. So let's quickly come to this freeze pane. When you come to the freeze pane, you can see what I'm saying, right? You can see what I'm saying now. You can see, right? So this has been freezed so that you can, anywhere you are, you can easily see what is at the top. So how do you freeze pane? How do you freeze pane? So let me check if I can see where I explained it in details. And let me see whether I can see where I explained it in details. So let me come to this other side. Transpose, page number, okay. Okay, so I'm coming. Yeah, so the first one, to freeze pane, number one, you first need to know why we are freezing the pane. What is the purpose for us freezing the pane? I've explained it to us. The reason why we are freezing pane is so that we can see anywhere we are, we can see what we are working on. So how do we freeze pane? Let's go to that sample report. When we come to the sample report, all you need to do is select where you want to freeze. You are freezing here, right? Then try and select another place away from it, right? So just select two places. Then go to your home. Once you go to your home, you check. Can you see freeze pane here? No. So let's go and check under our data. Data, we come to data. You check if you can see freeze pane. And it's been long, I use most of these commands, but you just, any command that you've not used for a while, just check the tabs. You also come to the review. If it's not there, go to your view. We find it in one of the tabs. Okay, so let's come to view, and voila, it's here. So it's under view. So we can also achieve it by using a formula, a shortcut, right? Anytime you want to create any shortcut in Excel, the best way to create your own shortcut is to use the Alt key. Use your Alt key. So let's come to where we want to freeze. We select the place we want to freeze, right? We select it. Then when you have selected it, click on the Alt key. Once you click on the Alt key, it activates these tabs. Once it's activated the tabs, we know that what we are looking for is under view. And view is represented by W. So we click on W, look for W on your keyboard, and press W. Then the next thing is that we know that we want to freeze. And to freeze the pane, we are looking for F. So after that, click on just F. And automatically, it's going to bring out this drop down. What do you want to do? Do you want to freeze pane? Do you want to freeze the top? Do you want to freeze the first column? Which one do you want to freeze? Are you freezing the first column? So when you say you're freezing the first column, it keeps the first column visible. Why? Is it supposed to be column or row? Okay. So yeah, we are freezing the first. So let's just click on freeze pane. So which is also another F. So let's press F, and voila, we freeze F. So let's now check. If we click away from here, okay, then we try and scroll down. You can see. So look at what it's doing. It has freeze the first. So it freeze the first. How many row? It freeze the first 12 rows. So that is how it has freeze those places. Those places are constant. So you can see some. You can see now. So at any point in time, you're going to see the first 12 information that you have in the workbook. So let's undo what we have done, right? We can press Ctrl Z to undo. Oh, sorry. What have I done? I'm coming. Let me go and check again. So this is where we are. Okay, it's still there. Whose mic is disturbing? Mute your mic, please. All right, so we now come to this place where we have the freeze pane again. So we've already freeze the pane. So you know where you selected. You selected these first 2 rows. So let's select the first 2 rows again. Once you select the first 2 rows, then the next thing you want to do is you want to press your Alt key again. Once you press your Alt key, then mute your mic. Once you press your Alt key, it activates the tabs. And we're trying to get a view. Press review is represented by, sorry, is view we want to get represented by W. So click on W. Once you click on W, then the next thing is that we are looking to freeze the pane, and that is represented by F. You click on F, right? So and it brings down these options. So now, yeah, when you look at the first thing it was showing us is that we should freeze pane. Now it's telling us to unlock pane. So let's click on F again. We click on F, and voila, we have unlocked the pane. You can see that is not locked any longer. So let's now do something. It's still activated, right? Let's click on our Alt key again. I tell you that the Alt key usually activates the what's it called? The Alt key usually activates the tabs, and then you now go to the tab that you are looking for. Where do you want to work from? So what I'm doing now, I'm trying to check the people whose mic are unmuted, so that I can take them off the call once and for all, because they're actually disturbing this call. Madam Oluchi, you are the one who has been disturbing. It's like you don't have control over your phone. Madam Oluchi, what's wrong with your phone? Okay, so let's move further. Yeah, so we are looking at how to freeze a pane. There are times that you want to freeze the first, yeah, so this is it. There are times that you want to freeze the first column. You also want to freeze the first row. You can also achieve it. You discover that even if you scroll like this, probably you are scrolling like this, you have information that are here, like gets to column AA or column AB. Once you are scrolling like that, you still want to maintain what is here. Like, okay, maybe this is the first thing is title, the next thing is January, or maybe like different state for Edo State, the sales for Edo State. So you just want to keep this column active, that every time, everywhere you go to, you want to see column A, right? Because column A contains some vital information that you need everywhere you are. So you can select column A. At the same time, you can now select row 1. Sorry, you press Control and select. So you've selected row 1 already. Then hold your Control key and select column A. Fine. You say that you are selecting these two. Once you select these two, then you can press your Alt key again. When you press your Alt key, then you know you are going to view, yes, press W. When you press your W, you want to freeze pane, press F. The first F now is telling you freeze pane. To freeze pane, it keep rows and column visible while the rest of the worksheet scrolls based on current selection. So now you can see that we've selected where we want to be stable and we've selected what we want to achieve. So now, since we've done that, what we need to press now is our F. Just press F and let's see if we actually got it. Okay, so now it has freeze all this place. Then it has also, let's come to the right, whether it will freeze that place also. I'm coming. So you can see it freeze the first, it freeze A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. It also freeze 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so column, so all these are rows. It freeze from row 1 to row 12, and then it also freeze from column A to column G, so that all this information, you can always see them at a glance. You can see what is happening over there. So you can also undo. You can go and press your Alt key again. So the first thing you want to do, you want to reselect the place that you need to undo what you have done. So select back where you've done those things. You must select. We selected our column A. We also control select our column B, right? That was what we did. So what you now do is that you now click on your Alt key. Once you click on your Alt key, click on W because it's under view. Then you click on F, the first F. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to now again click on F again to unfreeze pane. Then let's repeat the process. This time around, we want to do something different. So let's press our Alt key. The first one activates the tab. Then you click on W. Then when you have that, then click on F to freeze pane. Then let's now do something else. Now here, we want to freeze the top row. So click on R. You click on R. So let's see whether we're able to achieve that. Okay, you can see that only the top row was what was freezed. Only the top row was what was freezed. You can see. So here now we can see that it's only row 1 that was freezed, right? So you can also do the same for column. You can decide to freeze only column A. Now, most times it's row 1 and column A that is most likely to be freezed because those are the places that your data can be. So that is that. But if you want to freeze more place, make sure you select more than one row. Maybe you select like 2 rows, just like I did the other time, and then go, instead of you using that normal freeze the top row or freeze the first column, you can go on to now use the normal freeze pane. That freeze pane will freeze a lot of places. Then if you want to freeze column and row at the same time, I told you you must select them together. Select your column, hold your control key, select your row, then click on your Alt key or just go to your view. Go to your view by yourself, then go to your freeze pane. Then you can now go, and the first thing we are going to unlock, that's the first thing that unlocks. We go back to it again. Then what you want to do, you might decide to freeze both column and row. So the first one here, when you have freeze pane, what it does is that it freezes column and row. But if you want to freeze either row or column individually, you have to use either freeze top row or freeze first column. So that is that, and that is that. So let me ask us: are we together? Are we following? Do we gain? Are we gaining this thing? So for those of us that are going to work, and then we have large data sets that we're working on, and then at any point in time, we are finding it difficult to keep tab of what we have at the top heading. We can always go and use the freeze pane. You can always find it under our view tab. Just click on your view tab. Alternatively, you can use your shortcut. Your shortcuts for every formula start with Alt. Every shortcut. So provided that what you want to achieve is on the tabs. So if you want to press file, let's press our Alt key again. Let's say we are pressing Alt key. Alt key will always activate that place. So you can see to get file, we just press Alt F. So that is Alt F. You can see that. So those are your shortcuts. You can learn those shortcuts. So to open your file, just press Alt F. You've gotten your file. So let me press again, Alt F. You can see that. So to open your view, press Alt W. Okay, then FF. So that means to get that, okay, that is to freeze pane. So I'm sure I've freeze the pane now. Yes, I've freeze the pane. I have actually freeze it. I have freeze the pane. So because I use freeze pane, I freeze both column and both row. So automatically that does that. So that is that. Let's move away from here. Let's move away from here. Let's move away from here. So for this one, where we are talking about repeating role headings, I will come back to this one. Now, most times you discover that you are trying to print. You are trying to print some documents, right? And then those documents, you are expecting that the row heading remains constant at the top of each of the pages, or probably you want the bottom, okay? You want it to be at the bottom of each of the pages, okay? Most times you can always find that by going to your page layout. But I don't want to show that yet. Then go to your page layout and then look for what you want to achieve, and then you are able to achieve that. But for now, we are not doing that, right? We are not doing that now. I'm going to show you how to do that in the later chapter. So if you have, as you have this Excel sheet now, you can decide to print this Excel sheet on your printer. This Excel sheet now may go beyond one page. At times it goes to 2 pages and so on and so forth. But you want to maintain the heading that you have here. Probably you have something that represents your company. Maybe is your company logo at the top, or maybe there is something at the top that you want to, we did freeze pane. Just like the way we did freeze pane, we want to always see the heading at any point where we go to, like this. So also, if you are looking at this repeating row header, you want to print this thing on a paper. So and you want the header to always show on your book when you print it out. There's a way we are going to achieve that, but we won't do that in this class. Just have that somewhere at the back of your mind. The same thing is that when we do page number, okay? Page number as well, we can also achieve page number. So if you want the first page that prints out to show page 1, maybe you have like 1 million stuff to print out, okay? The data you are printing out is a large data, and it will not, just one page will not contain it. Maybe you have like 1 million pages, but you want to know the order at which they follow each other. So this page 1, this page 2, this page 3, page 4. So you can always put page numbering. You can also, if you like, you can repeat whole heading. You already know why we need to repeat whole heading. The same reason why we need to have our freeze pane. The same reason why we need to repeat our row heading. So we're going to look at that in the later chapter. We're also going to look at how to page number our worksheet, okay? Now, I've told us about transposing, right? I've told us about transposing. Let's quickly look at what transposing is. I showed us the other day that when you're trying to transpose, let's look at what I wrote here. So transpose, switch rows and column. They say if data is entered in columns or rows, but you want to rearrange that data into rows or column instead, you can quickly transpose the data from one to the other. For example, the regional sales data, okay, that is organized in the column appears in row. After transposing the data, it as shown in the following graphs. Whoever's mic that is on, kindly mute it. I know she's the same person. Okay, this is another person that is mic is on. Kindly mute your mic so that you won't have interruptions. Thank you. Mute your mics always. There's going to always be interruption if your mic is disturbing. Okay, so we now come over. I've told us about transposing before. So for instance, you have this information. you have here at the top here, you have months, right? So you have January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, and so on and so forth. Then here you have departments. You have department over here. So you have HR department, you have security, you have IT, you have medical, you have different departments. So you want to transpose this thing. Transposing means that you are changing side. Whatever you have on the column quickly goes to the rows. Whatever you have on the row goes to the column. So let's quickly read it again to understand it, so that when you're using it, you don't make mistake. They say, for example, the regional sales. Let's go and look for the regional sales. Okay, so the regional sales. Okay, so let's say these are, let's continue. So they say the regional sales, where am I? Example, regional sales data that is organized in columns appears in rows after transposing the data as shown in the following graphics. Okay, that is fine. Then the next one, that's that on the worksheet, do the following, right? Wait, let me check. I think there should be another information that is somewhere here coming. All right, so let's come back. So now they say that on the worksheet, where am I? On the worksheet, do the following. Number one, to rearrange data from column to rows, select the cell in the columns that contains the data. So select the cell in the column that contains the data. So let's say these are the cells that contains the data, right? Then what is the next thing? Then I say to rearrange data from row to column, select the cell in the column that contains the data. Number one, on the Home tab in the clipboard group, click copy, right? Then next one, on the workbook, on the worksheet, select the first cell of the destination row or column into which you want to rearrange the copied data. I showed you the other day, it's very easy. Just come over here, come to the data you want to rearrange. At the heading here, we have the department, right? Maybe like we have security, we have this, we have that, we have that, we have that. You can see here, we have, now we have switched side. Before, at the heading here, we have the months, right? At the bottom here, at this place, we have the department, right? So what they just did is that we just copied all these things. Once you copy it, press your Control C, then go to another place you want that data to appear. Let's say we want the data to appear right here. So now, instead of you to just press your normal Control V, don't do that. Just right click. Once you right click, then you will see all these things. There is something that looks like a catapult, or did I call it? You can see this thing here. This thing that looks like I don't know what to call it. Look like I don't know what to call it, but and that thing is that just go to your Paste Special. You see a drop box here. You scroll down, you will see all these different things that you can work with. And then the one we are going for is the one that looks like let me look for it. Yeah, this is it. This is it. Okay. So if you look at it now, we are flipped side. Okay, you can see now. I've not pasted it to. We are flip side. Now you can see that at the top, we now have the department, which we have HR department, we have security, we have IT. Okay, sorry, that's undo. So we come back here. So we come back here. You see that we have security, we have January, we have at the first column, we have January and so on. So let's go back to what we copied. Look at what we copied. What we copied, we were having this, the department here, we're having the month here. But when we come back to show it here, discover that it's a different ball game. We're not having the months at the top there. We have the department at the bottom. So you must learn this because it can come in very handy to you. Maybe you have 1 million data, and then the order at which you have imputed them, you've done it wrongly, right? And then you don't know that what you're putting as your column ought to be your row. the top, what you are putting at the beginning of your is the beginning we are dealing with, the beginning of the data that you are imputing. So what you put there, okay, look at it now. So what you are putting there at the top initially was the days of the month, the month. So I beg your pardon, the month. Then what you have at the bottom here before was the department, but you can see the flip. It has flipped, that's flipped, and now we have something else. So don't forget, as I said, we are still going to come back and look at how to repeat role headings, how to also number our page. We are going to do that, but not for this lecture. I don't want to scatter the workbook yet. So let's move further. We have seen how to transpose, right? We have seen how to transpose and all that. Then food change and everything. So this is another data set. What do we need to do? We need to, anytime you see a data set, the first thing you need to do is study it. Right here, we have start date. We have all this start date here. We have the day in, day in, day out, right? Day in, day out. We have in, we have out, we have in, we have out. So all these data are here. So what is our C3? C3 is this, okay? What about this? This is okay, plus F. I'm coming, let me check. F3, right? F3 plus D3. Okay. F3 plus D3. Okay, so yeah, so this is like when you're looking at you're trying to look at people clocking in, people clocking out, right? When did they clock in? When are they clocking? When are they supposed to clock out? Or the date they came, the date they didn't come. So you can easily use this formula to get it. And mute your mic, please. Okay, thank you for that. So when you have any data set, study it first so that you can understand what they are trying to achieve. What they are trying to achieve is this. They are trying to achieve the day in, and you also calculate the day that is they came out, right? We've already said that. Let's come and check here. So this is surname. This is the surname of somebody. This is the first name and all that. Then this is the date it started. It started on these days, right? Then the day in, you say it's 14, it's 14, it's 14. Now, you don't want to start trying to calculate when did he come in, what day did he come, what day did he go out. So you want to start counting the calendar and everything. No, they want to start counting the calendar. You also know that days out, it should be 14, 14, 14 as well. So here are just normal numbers. Now, to not get the day in, simply say it came in this day. This is the day it came in, right? So when it started the shift or whatever it is. So it came in on this date. So that is what we have here. We also equal to this. We are having the day it came in. Now we now know that, okay, from this day it came in, it needs to do 14 days. It's 14 days after that is when it will be out of the shift. So we have selected the day it came in. We now come over here and now put the day it came in, which we have put here. This is where we put it here, right? The day it came in, we now say that plus 14 days. So 14 days now is selected, is inside this place, okay? So 14 days, that's what you're going to do, and then you're going to get what is going to be in this other place. So this is very easy, and I'm sure this should not take us 2 minutes to click and get the answer. So these are what we're going to get. So now we're just going to continue to repeat the same process. Now this one is going to be on G plus 14 days. The same thing, this is going to be on this plus 14 days. So everything is making this our D3 to be constant. Where's our D3? This is our D3. Our D3 is constant, right? D3 is constant and all that. So both of them are actually constant. Both of them are 14, 14, 14. So D3 is constant in all the formula. D3 is actually constant. So here we are having E. So let's now look at this place where we have E. Okay, so just what I will send you this one also. Just study it. Now let's go and look at some other formulas, some other functions that we need to go and learn. So that is we've done the statistical. We are going straight now to the mathematical. Okay, so we have the text functions, we have the lookup function. We're still going to look at that. We've looked at the statistical. Now we are looking at so these are the mathematical function. That's what we are going to look at today, the mathematical function. So we are looking at something that is easy to understand, easy to grab. We build on our knowledge before we now come to the big one. I think this is the most technical aspect of it. So I think before we come to the lookup function, we might also come and look at concatenate. And lastly, what we're going to use to wrap up might be this our lookup. Then we also now go and look at this pivot table. We look at other things, macros, we look at other things that we need to learn. And then I think after that, we should be able to finalize on the lecture. So we have a long way to go. Little by little, we are building. So we already know the statistical functions. We are looking at the mathematical function now. The mathematical function, they are the daily things that majority of us do, which we do. But don't forget that there are some of these things that are complex and you need to understand them. I think I've been able to explain some things to some people. Under the mathematical function, we have certain things that we need to know. Sum is number one. SUMIF is another one. Subtotal. Okay, I think I'm even there. So this is it. This is where we have the mathematical function. Let's look at what they have. We have the product. So obviously, product means you're multiplying, right? Round, right? Returns any evenly distributed random real number greater than or equal to 0 and less than 1. A new random real number is returned every time the worksheet is calculated. So I also teach you how to recalculate all the worksheets, okay? There are times that you have some worksheets, and those worksheets, the information in them, though you imputed those formula accurately, but at any point in time, you need to recalculate your worksheet. Let all the worksheets recalculate so that you are sure that, okay, just like an application now, some of these worksheets, they are linked to different servers, they are linked to different worksheets. Sometimes there are some data, well, especially when we are doing report, we are linking some information into each other. Now, on the source document, you might have changed a certain amount, a certain figure, a certain number, right? If you don't make the worksheet that you're using for your report to recalculate, that number may not reflect on your worksheet. And at the time you link that worksheet, probably you linked it and you're having 20 billion. What if the amount has reduced? Okay, let's say you are linking it's the financial statement, you are linking the receivables that you have. So as at the period you linked it, the receivable figure is showing that you have let's say 20 billion. However, maybe some bad debt has occurred, right? Some debtors have been written off as bad debt and all that, and the figure has gone below that. But your worksheet that you have, your report, is still showing 20 billion. So now it means that you're going to be showing a statement that is not accurate. You'll be wondering that what is going on. But I like this worksheet. Why is this worksheet not updating automatically? You need to also update your worksheet. So I'm going to teach us how to update the worksheet, how to update one of the worksheets that we're working with, or to update all the worksheets in a workbook. So there are formulas that we're going to press, and that will give us the desired result that we are actually looking for. So let's go further and go and look at all these things. So the mathematical functions we're looking at, we're going to look at the sum, the SUMIF, the round down, round up, round, and product. So those are the things we're going to look at. Then the next thing we're looking at is the subtotal. We're going to learn all these things right now. So let's go. Where was I? Where was I? So let's go straight. I know now some of you, we've done the SUMIF before, and I showed us in a very giant formula that I nested. Okay, so this is sum now. To sum, majority of us know how to sum. But let's take a look at it so that it doesn't look like, okay, we don't want to teach it. So this is the function name is sum. The function group is the mathematical function group. So what is the use of it? Is used to add all the numbers in a range of cell. Now, what is the argument? Range, range, range. That's the argument. So let's come over here. I told us now we have shortcut as well. And then we have, so here, when you want to add, right? You want to add, this is like the most simplest, it's like the most simplest formula to use, right? To just say equal to sum, and then you are going to get what you are trying to get. So, and now most times accountants, they do T format accounts. You have T format accounts. So let me quickly try and demonstrate it so that we understand the use of this sum. So let me quickly demonstrate it. The T format. So you just come over here, you come here, you put your line here, then once you've done that, you can click on OK, click out. Then the next thing, you can now also click here like this. I want to do the T format, right? I click on Control-1 to activate this thing. Then what do I want to do? I want to put something here. Fine. So I click on OK. And here, this is it. We have the T format. So here it's always going to be your credit. And this, sorry, here it's always going to be your credit. And here is always going to be your debit, right? Your debit. So now, I was teaching some people last Sunday, and I told them that you need to balance your accounts, right? And I was using deferred taxes to explain to them. So when you have deferred taxes, you have the balance that is carried down from last year. You have either a deferred tax asset or a deferred tax liability. So just like the way assets are and the way liabilities are. So let's look at the element of account. It's very important for us to know the element of account and also know, because we are looking at sum, I also want to show us the use, okay? That's why I'm doing all these things. So you have the element of account. So we have like 5 elements of account. For those people that will join the training that is coming up on Saturday for Zoho Books, if you are available, we are starting a free training on Zoho Books on Saturday. So try and join. You will see how you are going to become an expert when you're trying to implement any of the accounting software. Either it's Zoho Books, it's this, is that. You go confidently to any organization, you can implement it for them, you can train them, you can do that. So I'm just giving us this information for free because the sky is big enough for all the birds to fly. So what do we want to do? We want to look at the element of accounts. So we have like, we have like 5 elements of accounts, which we use to further break down elements of accounts. Okay, so we have 5 elements of accounts. Okay, so this is not supposed to wrap around. So let's go to our home. Then we click away from wrapping around. Okay, so we don't want to wrap around. Fine. So that these are the elements of accounts. So the first one, number 1 is going to be, so we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, and we have 5. So the element of account, the first one happens to be the assets account. So we have assets. Now, each of these things is going to have a debit balance because it's an asset, right? It's going to usually have a debit balance. An asset is going to have a debit balance. Then the next thing that usually have a debit balance, asset, we also have expense. So we are looking at those ones that have the same kind of balances is what we are putting. So this one also have a debit balance. Then the other 3 that I'm going to mention, income that we have here, or you have your sales, or you have revenue. So each of them, the 3 of them, they are the same thing. They are pointing to the same thing. They usually have a credit balance. So now here, all these places are, they are rounding up the number. Sorry, they are wrapping the number. So if you understand Excel very well, you know that that is not what you want. You don't want it to wrap around. Undo that, and then everything will shoot out. So this is what we want to see. want to see everything at a glance. Now, because there is something here, this thing is also not showing. Something's in the way. Okay, like they also, I'm coming, let me see, can I? Okay, it's not answering. All right. So that is where we have income, sales, and revenue. Fine. It's also credit balance. The next thing we have is a liability. Liability. We have liability. Then the last thing we have equity or capital. Equity. Okay, we have equity. Now, each of these three, they both have the same kind of balances. So they both have the same kind of balances, the same kind of balances. Now, when they talk about deferred taxes are taxes that you actually either they are going to create either a taxable amount in the future or they will create a deductible amount in the future. So let's assume in your balance sheet or your trial balance, I mean to say in your trial balance, they give you a deferred tax of, let's say, last year. Okay, let me just do something like this. What do I want to do? Let me put a space here, or let me come down, or okay, let me move this thing down. Let me move this thing down. So I'll create a space. I give it a room. Go down. Yep. Yeah, I know that if you have been joining our class, you should be able to do this thing I just did, right? You want to, instead of you to start inserting, some people, if they want to use the space now, they will need to start inserting. Why not copy everything and move it down? Okay, I'm not copying and pasting. I'm just selecting the area where the data is, right? I can select the data. I can duplicate it. I can decide to drag it anywhere I want it to be. I can drag it like this, right? I can drag it here anywhere I want it to be. I can drag it here. Okay, so I think it's even better here. So I can drag it here. I can put it anywhere. So I want to come over here. Let's say you have your debit. You have your debit, and here you have your debit here. You have your credit. You have your credit here. Sorry. You have your credit here, all right? So as of last year, as at the beginning of this year, you have a deferred tax that you brought over from last year. Deferred tax. Deferred tax. So they won't tell you whether it's an asset or it's a liability. But where you put a figure, we tell you whether it's an asset or it's a liability. So here they're giving us a deferred tax and they put 9,000 here, right? So automatically you know that this is a deferred tax because it's on the credit side. So credit side, now this thing is either is an asset or it's either is a liability. Well, anything that is on the credit side, asset can never be on the credit side. If you look at it, asset usually have debit balances. So asset can never be on the credit side. Then the next thing is that, yeah, so it's either it's an asset or is a liability. And here, obviously, is on the credit side, is a liability. Then you have a deferred tax liability for last year that you're bringing into this year. So you put your balance carried down here. Balance brought forward. Sorry, I think this should be balance brought forward or balance brought down. Balance brought forward, I think so, yeah. So balance brought forward, you have your 9,000 here equal to this. Have your 9,000 here. Fine. Then this year as well, you also now, let me do something. Let me shift this thing downward one more time. I want it to go downward one more time. So I just click on select where it is, click, and yeah, I think it's okay like this. Fine. So now one more time. So yeah, this year now, this year you now have some temporary difference. Temporary difference that creates deferred taxes are due to the differences between the carrying amount of your assets, okay, versus the tax base of your asset. So versus the tax base of the asset. Okay, so once you check your assets, you know, you have your carrying amount computation that you have been doing, and also the taxman also has his own capital allowance that he has been using to check what is remaining, the depreciation that he's going to give you. So when you check the carrying amount versus the tax base, it's going to create what we call some differences. Those differences can either be taxable or give rise to deductible. So how do you get a deferred tax? You check the carrying amount versus the tax base. So let's say the carrying amount of an asset, we have 10,000. That's the carrying amount of the asset. the kind amount for the asset is 10, or let's say 100,000, right? Whereas the tax base of the asset was like, let's say 75,000. How do we get all this kind amount? If you know kind amount by now, kind amount is equal to the cost of the assets minus, so kind amount. So I just need to carry us along here so that you will not be lost. Kind amount is actually equal to the costs of the assets, right? So you minus your accumdiv, then you also minus your accumulated impairment losses. So you minus your accumulated impairment losses. So that is how to get your kind amount. For those that don't know, I'm just quickly trying to use this one to teach us something. Yeah, yes. So that is that. Then if you want to get your tax base, right? Your tax base is always going to be the cost of the asset as well. The cost of the asset minus the capital allowance. The capital allowance. So let's assume this year we check our carrying amount. We check it against the tax base of the asset. The carrying amount gave us 100,000. 100,000. Then the tax base is giving us 75,000. So that means that there's going to be a difference. So what is the difference? The difference is going to be, okay, so the difference is going to be equal to, so let's put the difference here. Let me delete all these. So we have a difference, which is either going to be deductible or taxable. I'm going to tell us when we have a taxable and when we have a deductible. And then I'm also going to tell us whether it's going to lead to an asset or a liability. So yeah, when you always say equal to your carrying amount minus your tax base. So if you have a positive figure, it is a liability. If you have a negative figure, it is an asset. Therefore, whenever your carrying amount exceeds the tax base, it's going to give rise to a taxable temporary difference. This thing is a temporary difference, but is a taxable because you are going to pay on this. It means that the expense that you charge in your financial statement for your, what's it called? For your, the expense that you're going to charge in the year, right? For your depreciation is larger than what the taxman is going to give as capital allowance. So the taxman is going to give a capital allowance of 75, and you are charging 100,000 as your depreciation. Therefore, the taxman will disallow 100,000 in place of 100,000 that they are giving. It will give you 75. There's going to be a difference because you had a profit before, and then when the taxman disallow 100,000 and is giving you 75,000 in place of it, it's going to make your profit go higher, right? It's going to make your profit to go higher. So let's. I don't want to go into so much details. Just so that anytime your carrying amount is higher than your tax base, then it's going to cause what we call a taxable temporary difference. A taxable temporary difference. So it's going to create a taxable temporary difference. And then when you now apply the tax rate on this temporary difference, you are going to get a deferred tax liability. So let's assume our tax applicable in Nigeria is 30%. We now say equal to this times 30. So 30%, you're going to get what our what's it called? Our deferred tax liability for the year is. So this is what our deferred tax liability for the year is. So at the beginning of the year, you had a liability of 9,000. At the end of the year, your liability is now 7,500. So as your liability increase or it has reduced, what do? We already know that this temporary difference is we give rise to a deferred tax liability. So it's going to give back to a deferred liability. So last year we have a deferred tax liability. This year also we are also having a deferred tax liability. So for people that doesn't know how to do it, they will just quickly go and post this 75,000 here also. They will come and post it here, or they will get it wrong. So what you're going to do is that because it's a liability also, right? First of all, carry it to the opposite side. It's a liability. Naturally, now the one for last year, post it exactly the way it is. The amount of last year is 9,000, is a liability. Post it exactly because it's a balance you're bringing down. Post it exactly the way it should be. It's a balance that you're bringing down. Okay, you're carrying you're bringing it forward. But that of this year, right, is also a liability. It's supposed to be on the credit side. But first of all, carry it to the opposite side first. You now carry this 7.5 year, 7,500. You now say that deferred tax carry down. If I carry down to the opposite side, which is going to be like 7,500. Once you've carried down, then this is where you now need your knowledge of summing. Okay, once you have done that, now you want to now balance your accounts. So if you have for the year, if it's for the beginning of the year, if you have a liability, put it where it's supposed to be. Is normal rule. It's because it's balanced from last year. Just put it normally as a liability. If it's an asset, come and put it as an asset. But the one for the year, if you have a liability is supposed to be credited. Carry it down to the opposite side. Carry it down to the opposite side, right? Naturally, it's supposed to be credited. That is the rule of deferred tax. So if you carry down to the opposite side, then now balance your account. So let's balance the account. When you're balancing an account, the highest side is what we normally pick. So we now say here equal to, and you can quickly press Alt equals to, we sum. Okay, so we sum that. The highest side obviously is this side. So we now say here, you become equal to this side. You click on enter. So that is the highest side. So now here is not complete. Inside this place now, will not give us 9,000. This is the balance. This is the total. These are total sections. So let's quickly press on, let's press, is it insert or home tab? What we have, okay, let me check home tab first. Okay, so here is it. Let's check for these up and down. Okay, so this is it. Then here also, let's press F, is it F4? F4. Yeah. So I didn't tell us something. I said that anytime you carry out an action in this place, you see that I put this, what would I call this one now? Like, you know, when you are trying to show that something is a total, you know, there's a way you need to show that it's a total. There's going to be a line at the top, there are either two lines at the bottom and all that. Any action that you carry out, when you go to any other place, you press F4. It's going to repeat that action that you perform lastly. So let's note that it's going to repeat the last action that you performed. You can see that here, all I needed to do was to just press F4 and it repeated the action that I carried out over here. So here we now have the totals are the same here. However, inside this box, it does not show that it is the same. So what do you need to do? This is where you now need the knowledge of summing. We now say something like, we want to get what is the balancing figure. We want to get what the balancing figure is. Balancing figure. Balancing figure. Okay, so we now come here. We now say equal to, we pick this total that we have here. Pick the total. Once you pick the total, so from that total, we want to minus everything in this our box. When I say minus, we now do our sum, SUM, open your bracket, then go and select everything in the box. So we are selecting from here like this, we are selecting down to everywhere we can see space, anywhere there's space. Then you close your bracket, then you press your enter. So automatically, this is how to get your balancing figure. Most people that are accountants, they may not know how to do this thing. This is what I was trying to achieve. That is what I have to go through all these things for. I want to show us how to get our balancing figure. Okay, your balancing figure is always, now you know when you're trying to balance your account, right? You always check which is the highest side in the account. The highest part of the account is 9, obviously. 9 is higher than 7,500. So we have 9 here, we have 9 here. So now, to now get what is missing, there is 9 as a total, but inside this place, we've added everything together. It cannot give us 9. So what do we need to do? We need to calculate our balancing figure. To get a balancing figure, you cannot just say equal to, just go and say this minus this. No, that's not what you do. You have to show it like a professional that you are. You now select what the total is. You now say minus. You now add the sum of everything inside the space here. So that anytime in the future, if they decide to now put some things here, let's say they now put some things here, they put some things here, your figure, your balancing figure will still be accurate. Okay, so this is how to do it, how to use the sum function to get your balancing figure. If you have any clarification, you don't understand anything I've done here, you can call my attention to it. You have the next 2 minutes to ask me so that I can answer you. So before I answer you, first of all, know that the sum function is very easy. Just anywhere you want your answer to be, just say equal to, then you say sum. You open your brackets. Once you open your brackets, then you go and select the range of where the datas are. The datas are from year to year. You select them, then you now close your bracket. So let me ask, are we hearing? Can you hear me? Let it not be like yesterday that I couldn't hear anybody. Can you hear me? Are we still on the call? That's beautiful. Yes, okay, thank you. Okay.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Thank you. So if you have any question, raise your hand. Let's attend to you now. Any question at all?
Yes.
Is anybody raising?
Yes, I raised up my hand. Good evening, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the delivery so far from the one till today. I really appreciate. However, I feel, I don't know for others, but for somebody like me that is still like as I'm talking to you, and I have my writing material that I'm noting some things, but there's something I noticed that in a way, should I use the word digressing? Because like what I was trying to get was a mathematical function you mentioned, and you mentioned the product and other function. I was actually trying to write, but it's as if I don't know if this the balancing figure and the other stuff you did is actually what to give rise to the product function you want to explain. Like I feel since we are writing it is it will be good if I can get some things to note down about the product function before like taking us to another accounting, because I discovered that it's more of a accounting that you just explained. I don't know, Sha, it's for me. I don't know for others. Thank you, sir.
Okay, duly noted. Okay, so the reason why I did that is because I know majority of people, apart from you learning something, to make it stay with you, you need to know what you need to use it for, right? So most times I try to tell you why you need to know it, and also know for me to also show you what you can actually use it for. So if you are telling me that, okay, I prefer for explain that to you first, I believe that a lot of people should know the sum, how to sum things, right? It's very simple. Just say equal to, you now say sum, type your sum, open your brackets, then select the range where the data are. Okay, somebody's hand is up again. Okay, you can explain. I can hear you. Do you still have anything you want to say?
Good evening.
Okay. Good evening, sir.
Please, I just want to get more detail on the transposing. I could not really get it because of network. Please, sir.
Okay, no problem, sir. I will get back there before we close the class. Thank you. So this is what I was saying. To get, I'll go back to that transposing. I'll show us. It's easy. So to sum, we are trying to sum. You have information in this cell. You have information in this cell. You want to add the information together, right? So just quickly come to where you want to put that total, and it's here. Everything is here. is typed there. You just say equal to, then type your sum, open your bracket, then select the range of where the datas are. The datas are both under this our column H. Our column H, we have the data here. We also have the data here. Okay. So to do that, let's cancel what is here. We cancel here. We now say equal to, we now say sum. When we say the sum, we open our brackets. When you open your bracket, you know what you want to sum. I want to sum what is here and what is here. So go and select the places you want to sum. I want to sum here, and I'll drag down to where I want to sum. I want to sum here also. Once you finish dragging down, then close your bracket. Once you close your bracket, then click on enter. So once you click on enter, that is how to sum, right? Some people will sum another way. They will just say equal to, they want to sum, they will say equal to, they can select where the data is, right? They press plus, they select another place where the data is. So it's good, you can do it this way. But what if you have 1 million data that you want to use? And those million data, you need to constantly, are you going to go and start clicking on each of them? So are you going to go and be picking each of them? So it means that there are basically 2 accurate way of adding. The first way to, this sum they're saying is just adding, we are adding. There are basically 2 accurate way to add. You can use the sum function, or you can just say equal to, the way you normally add now. You can say equal to, select what you want to add. I want to add this, Abby. Then press your plus. Then select the last thing you want to add again. Then press enter. That is one way of adding. You can add by selecting each of those cells that contain the information. Press your plus icon on the keyboard. Continue to add. Press your plus, like that. You can get how to add. Alternatively, we can also use the sum function. So we can just say equal to, then, say equal to, you now put your sum. When you put your sum, you open your bracket. When you open your bracket, you also come and select the range. Take your cursor to where the range of the data is. Select them like this. And then once you have finished selecting, you close the bracket and you press your enter. And either way you're going to sum. So those are the 2 right way to sum. The first one, you can say equal to and go and start selecting those places you want to sum. Press your plus sign, select another place, press your plus sign, and so on and so forth. That is one way, but this is the manual way. It's like you are doing manual. If you have information in this data and the information is up to 1 million, okay, I want to add it. Will you start going to select it one after the other and pressing plus, select the cell, press plus? That is one way. Now, the wrong way to add, let me also show us, there's a wrong way that you should not use. If your mic is on, kindly mute your mic. There is a wrong way that you are not supposed to use. For instance, we have data here, we also have data here, right? I want to add it. So if you want to add it now, if you are someone that you don't have the knowledge of Excel, you can easily say equal to, and in our cell H13, we have 1, 2. You just say 1, 2, you type it out, 1, 2, right? Then you now say plus, in our cell H14, we have 900 plus 900. Now, if you do it this way, you will still get the answer. You will still get the same answer, right? And you will feel that you have done something fantastic. Whereas you have not only done manual work, you have even gotten it wrong. The reason is because, now the last time I already told people that the reason why this is wrong, this is a wrong method. And somebody was able to give me a good answer that I was looking for. So let me also test us. I've already told us that there are 3 ways in which you can add. 2 of them are correct. One is more or less like manual. The other one is like automated. You're using a function, okay? Why the third way should not be encouraged at all. The first way is by using the sum function. Just press equal to. When you press your equal to, then type your sum, open your bracket, then you select the range of where the data is. If I want to add all this data, let's say data are long from beginning to the end. I can just go to where the data are. I'll click on the place. I will drag till I get to the end of where the data is. Once I get to where the end of the data is, I close my bracket and I press enter. That is one way. However, this same sum function, there's still another shortcut for it. You can always press your Alt equals. Alt plus the equal sign will also give you the sum function. Alt equals will also give you the sum function. Now, another way that you can also do, which is also right, is by going to select each of those places where the data are. So let me delete this, and I say equal to, I come to where the data is, I select, I press plus, I come to another place where the data is, I select, I press plus, like that, till I get to the end of it. I'm going to get the answer correctly. Why? Because I'm using the cell where the data are. Now, this one that I have here is not correct. I told us, though we both got 2,100, 2,100, 2,000. So if they look at this, your worksheet, they will say you all got your answer correctly. But in the real sense, are you doing the right thing? So that you can get your answer correctly and still be wrong. So here, this is the wrong way of summing. These two are the right way of summing or adding, okay? And I also told us that we can also use a shortcut, which is Alt plus equals to. Now, there are times that you might need to go technical, right? So let's say you want to add a whole lot of data together, and also you want to also sum a whole lot of data. You want to also subtract a whole lot of data. Probably you have the loans that somebody collected. Maybe these people, they collected all these loans, right? Maybe in column C, there are loans that they collected. Musa collected this collected this, and this is what they have paid. This one paid 20, this one paid 30, this one paid 40, like that. So let's use that to also understand what this formula is. This formula that we are seeing, let's use that to understand what this formula is. Let's assume we have list of names here, which we have already had pre-made names. So we have pre-made names. So let's click and let's drag it down and let's try and use that data to work. So we already have this information. So yeah, this is the loan they took. They took this loan, and then this is their repayment. They repaid this loan. Their repayment is this. This is their repayment. So here they took. So I told us if you want to populate a large area where there are data, you can select all the places where the data are, right? And then start populating. So here, I know that this one took 450,000, 1, 2, 3, and then you press your tab. How much has he repaid? He has repaid 250,000. Then the next person, Peter took 300,000, 1, 2, 3. He has repaid only 150. 1, 2, 3. So the next one, this one took 200. 1, 2, 3. He has repaid only 50,000. 1, 2, 3. This one took 45,000. He has only repaid 15,000. 1, 2, 3. The next person took, let's say 400,000. 1, 2, 3. He has only repaid 340 or 320,000. So like that. So once we are done, now come to where we want your information to be. How much did they collect in total? How much have they paid? And what are we expecting from our loan balance? So you just come here and just say equal to, you now go and do your sum. You press your sum, you open your bracket, you select where the range of the data are. The data is here, from year to year. This is the loans that they collected. You close your bracket. Then you now press minus. You now repeat the sum again because you want to sum not only one figure you want to minus. You want to minus plenty figure. I cannot be saying minus this, minus this, minus this. No, just say minus. Then press your sum again. Then open your bracket. Then select the range of where the data is again. Select it. Then close your bracket. And then click on enter. And that is how you're going to get that. So this is how we're going to get what we are actually looking for. So we are done with the sum function. And I told us there are 3 methods to sum. You can use the sum function, which is equal to sum. You can also use the shortcut, which is Alt equals to, Alt and equals. You press it together. That is number one. Number two, also told us that you can also say equal to, then start selecting where the data are in the cell, the adding, the selecting, the adding, and so on and so forth. Then the third way is the wrong way that you should not do. Don't say equal to and then start typing the numbers. Don't start typing them out. Why is that so? Somebody already told us from the last class, but can somebody tell us in this class why it is wrong to use this other way? Who can just tell me? I just need like only one person or two persons to tell me why we call that one the wrong way. Who can tell me? Hello?
Hi, Mr. Johnson.
Yes. So
okay, it's the wrong way because the figures that you have, if you increase the figure that you have, you may not get the answer, right? So, but when you do a sum, and you highlight the item or the numbers and you click enter, if there is a change in any of that figure, your total will change. But this direct one, if you change it, it will not change the total.
Okay, thank you. So let's thank you very much. Now, thank you, sir, for that lovely input. Now, since you said you were talking about figures, okay, you were talking about figures, right? If I come here and I change this figure, now from here, I change it to 5,000, or let's say 6,000, right? I change this one to 6,000. I change this one to 2,000, right? Sorry, I change this one to 2,000. If I do that, and I also still come to this place also, and I also still come and change this data. I come and change it. I say this one is 6,000. And I also come and change this one to 2,000. Will I get the answer or not? Hello, sir.
No, you did. You did.
Okay, I got the answer. So that means that probably you know what you are saying, but I guess what you should say is that when we are trying to use a formula, right, we should always make use of the cell instead of the figures themselves. The reason is because if you are using the figures themselves, what if you are not there and they feel that all your sheets are automated? Because the Excel is actually an automating software that anytime you add a formula, it's expected that there is something that is feeding into that formula. The last time I told us about what did I call it now? I call it the what did I call that? You know, let me go and check that formula again. I think it's under our date formula. We have okay, so I'm probably trace dependence, trace precedence. So you always trace, you should always be able to trace precedence and trace dependence. Okay, you can ask yourself, this formula, which data is it using to calculate? Okay, you should always be able to trace. That means there should be a linkage from your total or your formula to actual figures in a cell, not you typing them manually. So if you're typing them manually and then mistakenly you send this report to your Oga, and then your Oga now say, you made a mistake in this sale, so this sales actually should not be 5,200, and it changed the figure from 5,200 to 100 naira. Or you can say, even this person has paid us, is not owing us again, and deleted the figure. Or let's say these people, we have even said to them, deleted the figure. You discover that where you have formulas will still be correct, but when you are typing manually, will not correct. So the good thing is that you note that always use the cell in your formulas. Always use the cell in your formula and don't use this method. This method will be used by either the market woman that doesn't know how to make use of Excel, okay? So at least now you've learned. The man that answered me was correct. I was only trying to confuse him. You are correct, sir. I'm just trying to also throw more light on it. But I believe everybody understand or understand what I said? Hello? Do we understand what I said? Hope I didn't confuse us. Okay, so fine. So now we are now going to another thing. So if you are able to get the sum, and also because this is another dimension of the sum, and also came down to also show us how to also use the sum to get balancing figure. For people that are accounting people, if you have grabbed this process, it's fine. So you can also use sum to get this, okay? And don't always say something is limited, probably a profession. Maybe it's accountant that should know how to get balancing figure. They can ask you to also get balancing figure, and you should not be looking at I don't know how to do this one. No. If they ask you to get balancing figure, and then probably you don't even know that in an account you need to balance it first. You are an Excel specialist. You are called to come and assist to automate workbook for a company, which is an accounting organization. And then you are supposed to automate the workbook, and then they give you some data and they say, please help us to balance this book and let us know the balancing figure. You go and start doing equal to 9,000 minus 7,000. That is the wrong way. You're going to get the answer, but that is the wrong way. You need to first of all balance the account. When you balance the account, before you can now get what is the difference between what you balance at the bottom, what is the difference between what is the cell, and what is the difference between what's in this cell. Okay, so if you are not an accountant, go over the video again when I upload it so that you can learn that skill. It's very important. So let's go further from this sum. Let's build on it. Let's go to SUMIF. Now this SUMIF now is what I said. When you're using SUMIF, you are sending Excel on errand. It's like you don't have water in the house. Then you now carry your pail that you have and you give it to Excel. Say, Excel, go and fetch me water. Okay? You need to learn SUMIF very well so that you can always send Excel on errand. If you are using logic function, you are making Excel to think for you. And when Excel thinks, Excel will now tell you which of your answers is going to pick. It's different from when you are using a mathematical function. When using a mathematical function, you can send Excel on errands, right? So now, if you want to send Excel on errand, you need to learn how to use this SUMIF. And I also explained the other day that whenever you use the SUMIF, you are trying to achieve something. So you are saying that let's check one. You say SUMIF is like saying that, okay, if you go into the class, you see somebody wearing a red cap, right? Seize his phone and bring it to me. Okay, so you're going to set all those criteria for Excel to work with. So you say, okay, if you go into the class, you will see a boy sitting on the left-hand side of the class. His name is Bola. Check. If you see any book that has Bola on it, collect it from the books in his bag. You understand? So you are giving Excel specific instruction that you are telling Excel to go and carry out for you. So now when you are using SUMIF, there's something you need to note. You must know that in a SUMIF, we always use text at the middle. Most times we are looking for instance, if you have a bank statement, right? You have classified your bank statement as bank charges, income, whatever. So the best way, instead of me to sort my Excel and start doing from A to Z so that everything will arrange somehow, then I'll still need to now start adding them manually. No, you can use your SUMIF if you know how to use it very well. Okay, your SUMIF, if you know how to use it very well, you will now add it to the if. Use this your SUMIF as a statement. Then after you've done that, now set some other parameters that will make Excel to now go and count for you. So you see this formula now. They say equal to SUMIF. You now open your bracket. Then I say go to G. That's what you're telling Excel now. So you're telling Excel to go to G3 to G6. So Excel will come to G3, right? From G3 here, right? So this is G3. then to G6. So this is G6. Excel is going to come here because that's what you told Excel to do. They're saying equal to sum if you from G3 to G6, right? You see anything they call direct. So Excel will now come to G3 to G6 and check for direct. You say, okay, I can see one direct. Okay, I can see one, I can see another one. That is 2. So you now say, what do you want Excel to do? You're telling Excel to sum if is under G3 to G6, you see direct. If you see it, then sum H3 to H6. So this is G now, and then this is G3. So G3, right? This G3 up here to G6. You're telling Excel that under this my column G, check it. If you see in that column G from G3 to G6, if you see anything they call direct, then go and solve whatever figure that corresponds to it under your H3 to H6. So let me know if you understand what I said, or maybe I need to repeat it again. Let me know if you understand what I said, or I need to repeat it again. Do you understand? Okay, some people got it. Is there anybody that has not gotten it? Okay, I believe everybody has gotten it, but for the sake of clarity, let me go over it again, okay? So if you are using SUMIF, you are sending Excel on errand. You are telling Excel that if you go to a place, now you're telling that SUMIF, you open your bracket, you now say from G3 to G6, check G3 to G6. If you see this word direct inside this place, then go to H3 to H6, sum all the corresponding figure to it. So you can always use this when you have large data sets. You have your bank statement, you have plenty bank charges, you have plenty loans, you have plenty income, interest on loan, you have plenty things. And then you need to like, what is one, because I want to get what's the total bank charges that we incur in January? What's the total sales that we made in January? So we can use this SUMIF, then mix it with if function, and it's going to work very perfectly for you. So I'm going to take my time to also, after we have done our SUMIFs and subtotal, I will now go and show us how to use our SUMIF. Okay, if you have a bank statement and we need Excel to go and start summing for us and all that, I'll show us that. But I'm glad that you understand how to use SUMIF. So let's now come over here. Let's come here. Let's delete what is in this box. Let's delete here. I already told us that when you are trying to use text in a formula, always quote it. Double quote at the beginning, double quote at the end. However, if you are trying to get the name of a sheet, names of sheet is only one quote. You put at the beginning, one quote at the end. But if it's just a text, just a word, you need to put double quote at the beginning, double quote at the end. So what am I telling Excel? I'm telling Excel, I say equal to, I say SUMIF. So this is the task I want Excel to, I want Excel to sum. Say SUMIF, you go to G3, okay, to G6, right? If you go there, put your comma, right? When you put your comma, then you want to put a text in that formula. You are going to quote it, double quote, the first double quote, then you now type what you want. What am I looking for? I'm looking for direct. I type direct. So when I type my direct, because it's a text, I will now close the quotes. Then I'll now put a comma. So I think I said that go to G3 to G6. Did you see direct? Excel told me yes, I saw direct. So what else do you want Excel to do? Tell Excel that sum. Now you have to Excel, you have to sum. So you don't need to type sum again. No, you don't need to type sum again. You are putting this thing in a bracket. Then I say, you now come and say sum the content of H3, right, to H6. Then you close your brackets and click your enter, and automatically Excel will go and check this place. There is direct here. The opposite figure is 32. There is direct here also. The opposite figure is 41. We are adding 41 to 32. Obviously, you're going to get 73. Are we together? We have 5 minutes to go. And that 5 minutes, I'll just quickly go and do that transpose that they said it did not get. So that's 5 minutes. I'll just go and do that transpose. And I believe that we all understand how to get your SUMIF, right? You understand how to use your SUMIF. When you're using your SUMIF, it's different from when you're doing the logical function. The mathematical function, you are sending Excel on errand. Go and sum. That's what we're telling Excel. Excel, go to the class. If you see Bola, then sum or do something, okay? That's what we're telling Excel to go and do. So let's go back to our transpose. On this our transpose, and I say if you are using transpose, it's very easy. Just copy where the data is, right? So let's check this data. This data is here. This data now, we have month of the month at the top. We have designation at the bottom. Okay, and then want to copy it. Want this designation to be at the top. We have want the month to be at the side. So want to change what is at the heading. Want to change it to what is at the beginning of the code of the rows. Okay, of the column. Sorry. So what are we going to do? We just come and copy every data that we have here in this box. Okay. What we want to change is this date and this designation. Just copy Control C. When you copy Control C, then go to another place where you want the information to be. Then right click. When you right click, then go to this way and say paste special. Come to this this place. Then come and trace where is your space special. Then you are looking for this. This is what you're looking for. This thing that they say transpose. You see, they write transpose. If you check it, you discover that it has flipped the worksheet. Now, what you have as designation is what is showing at the top now. Then what you have as the date is what you have at on the column. So it has flipped it for us. So if that's what you want to achieve, you can simply press enter. You can simply just click on it. Sorry. When you click on it, you discover that here, what you have here is what has come here, right? And what you have here is what has come here. So if that is noted, then we are good to go. Any question? Any question? Any question? Okay, I believe there's no question. If there's any question, you can always send it on the group chats and let's get it done. Somebody said she can't see my screen. Well, I believe others can see my screen. Can you see my screen? If you can see my screen, kindly give me a thumbs up. So now, anytime you can see my screen and then we are done with the lecture, don't bother yourself. I'm going to upload the video on YouTube, and even that place where the network is disturbing you, you can't see the screen. That I am working, that I can see that my screen is displayed. When you check that video, it will not be displaying your own screen that you cannot see. It will be displaying my own screen that I'm displaying, that I know that I'm displaying it. So network was preventing everybody from seeing my screen, but because from my side, I'm displaying my screen, it will still record it, except if the network throws me out of the call. The network does not throw me out of the call, even if you can't see my screen. But me, I know that I've displayed my screen. I know that my screen is showing. It will still capture it on the recording. So I just want us to know that, and so that when we come to the class next time, you cannot see the screen, simply log out and log in. Then if it's the same for everybody, you can call my attention. If there's something I can do to it, I will do it. I will do it. But if there's nothing I can do to it, if it's the network, don't bother. Just continue to listen. And at the end of the day, when the recording drops on YouTube, you will discover that even that place that you cannot see my screen, the recording will still show my screen in that place, because it's not my network that is not showing. It's your network that was not showing, that was not seeing my screen. So on that note, can we call it today? You can unmute now.
Yeah, I was raising up my answer.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
I was trying to understand the difference between count if and SUMIF. So, um, am I right if I should say that the difference is maybe the count if count the number of times a particular text appear, why the SUMIF add the corresponding figures together? Is that what it means?
Okay, thank you, sir. Now, one is a statistical function. The other one is a mathematical function. So, just like the name implies, count, you're only counting how many, how many, um, how many HRs do we have? Okay, how many HRs do we have? How many salaries did we pay them this month? You can always count it. In January, we pay them salary. Let's assume I am on your payroll. In January, I was paid salary, right? So in February, I was paid salary. So you want to count how many times did we pay salary to this person? You're not adding, you're not. So when you are having sum if, you are actually summing, you are adding together, you are saying this plus this plus this. But when you are doing count if, you are not adding, you are counting. Counting is different from summing. Okay? When you're doing count, you are actually saying, okay, how many times did you pay these people's salary? Okay, we gave Mr. Leke's salary in January, that is number one. We gave him January we gave him salary in February, we gave him in March, we gave him in April. So it's going to count it, okay, to know whether for the 12th month I was in the company, whether I was in the company from January to December, you will count the numbers of times I received salary. So if you discover that it's not up to 12, you will know that, okay, probably I left the company before December. Okay, so that is when you are counting. There isn't count if. Okay, so count if now, we are saying that this person, how many HR do we have in the company, right? We're going to count the numbers of HR that we have in the company. How many accountants do we have in the company? We're going to count the numbers of accountants that we have in the company. So that is count if. But when you're doing sum if, you're actually summing figures. You are not counting figures, you are summing them. Okay, does that answer your question, sir?
Very well, sir. Very well. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, any other question? Or mute now if you have any other question. Okay, in the absence of any other question, let's call it a day. You can always go to the recorded class and go through what we have done. Okay, with that being said,
Thank you so,
Thank you, sir.
so much, sir.
you're welcome. With that being said,